No matter how many noises are made, the law is the law.
Hey! You are saying hey.
Don't crush me.
About a year Torkono a year Madam Torkono a yapam no every a year the Supreme Court of Ghana because of a year misbehavior, corruption issues any nyome bia na enisa oya waye. Now yate afenyoma kina oye Torkono adam for pa. It is so interesting, and you see, in some say no, we shouldn't joke with it. Sycophancy, hypocrisy. In Kofua, omo hypocrite, omon kanokre no, omon say mine. Nipa on kanokrebia or dangerous. And this is the way so MPP near on kanokra. Now we share one MPP on kanokra. In fact, chechere MPP ni bodium because we want no better than MPP ni on kanokre. And a typical example of a liar. A politician who is a liar, a sycophant, and a hypocrite is this guy, Kakari Rayeditihu, your friend Afinyomakin, aka Kasungu, aka content creator. This guy has no respect for Ghanaians. This guy has nothing, your friend says, self-respect. Now, Madam Torkono, ever seen nobody in Ghana or say he or she does not agree with the decision of Madam Torkono being sacked as the Chief Justice of Ghana and also being sacked as a judge in Ghana. No? None of these people have been able to produce one document, one document, a year. I just want to say, they've not been able to provide one constitutional statement, anything that proves to say, a kwai na Madam Torkono constitution de ne fast nyina no saa kwan na enye kwan pa.
This is a Zinga TV.
The argument has always been about moral argument. And the Madam Torkono issue ebemia pam the free Supreme Court no, it is not moral argument. We are talking about constitution and how the constitution was applied. So making a moral argument about Madam Torkono being sacked or losing her job it does not justify say Madam Torkono should not be sacked. Morally, you can decide to think the way you want to think. But until you are able to prove with evidence and facts to debunk or try to prove or disprove the constitution, say, senior constitution you apply is wrong, then you cannot. Until you are able to do that, you cannot sit anywhere else and tell Ghana for say, Madam Torkono na ye no, Sebio, Ghana, ye boom raso. A Ghana constitution and a two Torkono. It wasn't an individual. Article 1469, and then a share Ghana for a share a leader of the Republic, John Mahama, to do what he had to do. Because John Mahama ain't here Article 1469 now, and Kasa constitution now between to John Mahama free so. So John Mahama is just a tool in the hand of the constitution. John Mahama is a tool. He is a pen in the hand of the constitution, the 1992 constitution of the Republic of Ghana. At this point, what the NPP seek to do now is to politicize Torkono's sack by the constitution. It is the constitution of the Republic of Ghana and the Pam Torkono. Now, it's so interesting. This Afenyomakin, not Owokrumha. Now, we are going to discredit. We don't have time for banter. We will discredit with facts. Afenyomakin, in 2017, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo about power. When Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Charlotte Osei free electoral commission, that was the first time in the history of the Republic of Ghana. Charlotte and EC boss president go through a process to sack her. A lot of people raised issues about how Charlotte Osei was treated and how she was not given the hearing ear. How Charlotte Osei was not given any room. Charlotte Osei and her two deputies. Even with that, people raising concerns, still Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo went ahead to make sure say Charlotte say constitution na da ho no. Sa constitution no any Charlotte say any the deputies edi. Afenyomakin went to sit on TV and he defended Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's action. He defended the 1992 constitution because Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his government then based their actions on the 1992 constitution, Article 1469, to make sure Charlotte Osei is kicked out of power. And today, when you hear this content creator, this political liar, sit anywhere else to tell you, so, oh, we will deal with it at the right time. CJ's removal. There's nothing to deal with. Let's go and listen to Afenyomakin, the hypocrisy and the lies. You cannot trust these MPP people. This is how Afenyomakin defended the NPP when they came into power in 2017, how they used the constitution to get rid of Charlotte Osei. Yenti Afenyomakin.
Yes. You see, Angry Kweku Baako was very candid. See, the president knows the politics of this country. So he was very specific, made reference to the petition, unsigned petition, the subsequent communication he received from the council, and all that. So he left it as it was, which is fundamentally different from what my respected colleague was trying to put out there.
In other words, the president made the Chief Justice aware of the deficiencies that may be in the original.
He left it as it.
He didn't just send it. He wrote
of course,
pay attention that these other issues. And I'll leave it to your judgment.
Exactly. You see, we are talking about developing institutions. And if each time institutions try to assert themselves, we turn around to bastardize them, then I'm afraid we're not going to get anywhere. Is it the president who has removed Charlotte Osei? Or it's an institution that has done its work in accord with law and has thus made a recommendation for her exit? The NDC may not be happy because they appointed the woman to head NCC. They tried to push her to the Supreme Court. The Judicial Council did not agree. She was rejected, and eventually she was sent to the Electoral Commission. The MPP as a party opposed the procedure for the appointment of the EC chair, and I led the charge. Eventually in court, my client was Richard Sky. It was not Charlotte Osei. They shouldn't get it wrong. The MPP opposed the procedure. However, we looked after if the eventual appointment and the decision by the Supreme Court endorsing the procedure and all that. You remember I even raised the issue of contempt. That while the matter was yet to be tried, Mr. President had gone ahead to appoint and order, and I felt that it was not appropriate. But look, it didn't get anywhere. So when Charlotte was appointed, as a party, we had issues with the background. And we did not hide from that. Yeah. But it was not an NDC, MPP person. It was not Kennedy Japan. It was not Gabios Asardako who petitioned the president for the removal. Get it straight.
Yes, what's your Afenyomakin? Charlotte say, in time no, Akufo-Addo ba office na, omu ye den, omu yi Charlotte Osei no, or say, one, enya president ni ne yi Charlotte Osei, na eye constitution no ene yi Charlotte Osei. That was his statement. Or say petition na, omu troye na, omu jina so, ede pam Charlotte Osei as the EC boss no, enya Gabi Ochedako na troye, enya bedie tuo na troye, enya obi na troye. And also kasa no say, every time be a person you develop institutions, you know, they will try to find a way to go after the institutions. You know what he was trying to say? He was trying to say, a buying, take a decision to make sure, say, institution be nkosi ye. Na say the right thing should be done. Na ye ne Ghana for ye kasetia the decision na a buying eteki. Say presidency. A receive petition now or acting on the petition pe na ye Ghana for we are fighting the presidency. This is the defense Afenyomakin Etna TV so catch the Ghana for when Akufo-Addo in 2017 decided say was set Charlotte say or Pamono every EC office. He made his point. In fact, at a point, Charlotte say the positions ni binane de man na no omo MP before tiase no. Oma the last guy, sa the last guy ya kwasi am paying the last guy. The last guy ya afejo marking any Gabi Ochida ko de ko school e wo UK. Sa kwasi the last guy ya na nsɛn afejo marking yenya issue e wo parliament or the case de ko court no. LGBT anti-LGBT case no afejo marking man de ko court the same the last guy. This is what they have been doing for years. But what I want you to understand and say, he made it clear, say, constitution no, constitution no, and then ye shall to say free ho. Na enye nanado dankwa Ekufuado. That was the same thing when the Ekufuado put his presidency on the line. These are the same people today. They are fighting Ghanaians. Adentina, Madame Charlotte, Madame Torkono. Also for the same process. They have a problem. Adentina Ghana for year penny. Why are we allowing it? It is political. We need to create a new law to protect some people at some very important places. This is the same Afenyomakin. Otna news for Ghana for say. It is not the president who sacked Charlotte. It was the 146 article 146.9. And no sake Charlotte say. Inti why are we saying say Ekufuado ne pamo Charlotte say? John Dramani Mahama allowed the 146.9, the same 146.9 our constitution no, to go through. The due process was adhered to. But also and no, kwasiafo we MP before we nya opportunity. No man catch Ghana for say John Mahama Pamo Torkono. But when they were sacking Charlotte say using the same procedure, the same due process, the same 1992 constitution, the same 146.9, they said Nana the Danko Ekufuado did not sack Charlotte say. Now in fact, a constitution and a sacking Charlotte say. Kwasia we babetna TV so china. Obebo tai Phoebe abeka catch Ghana for say or a minority leader onimunyansa chen. This is a filthy liar. The law is the law. And this is something they have been doing for years. When we said Torkono we start here, the NPP deliberately decided to politicize it. But to date, they have not been able to state one article that the due process, and I say the constitutional president will be a breaking any law when it comes to the process now. Torkono they have not been able to cite one infraction. They have not been able to cite one infraction. They have not to say Samra way the president buso, Samra way the nipa way buso, entina Madame no sake no, it is not right. They have not been able to do that. The same procedure, the same due process, Ekufuado, Ede Charlotte say femu no, the same due process, and na Torkono femu, and so almost say Ekufuado the end na a constitution the pamon Charlotte say, but Torkono the end Mahama na nimu Harry. Odena yeteni enti yamfa nhye Mahama enkwasiafo mawe enende omudi MPP nenim. They have no principle. They are not people you can trust. They don't have the intelligence to be honest. They see every single Ghanaian and say ye Jimmy. Until every time when they get the opportunity, they just want to lie and think say we will absorb it and just follow them like sheep. So what is credible about this guy? What is credible about this guy that Ghana ni awoko school onimunyansa onko school kro onimunyansa Ghana ni otoaba? Why should any Ghanaian onimunyansa listen to this idiot? Because they are the same thing, but he's trying to justify one and trying to make one somebody's intentions. He's justifying one. But when it comes to Ekufuado's decision he took, it wasn't Ekufuado's fault. It was the constitution. But when it comes to John Mahama's situation, when the John Mahama allowed the due process, John Mahama allowed the constitution to work, it is not the constitution, it is John Mahama. This is the kind of dirty politics and kwasiafo way ya. Enti every day biano, their numbers keep dropping. And Messi Megu party no 2028 Megu no. Because of these fools. Because of kwasiafo way, onyankopon wasoro ode nyansa duame mitirimu no Megu party no Megu no flat. Because me who say continuously, these people, the sense of entitlement and foolishness, now let me show you one sad thing happening in Ghana, and it's got to do with Madam Sophia Ekufu, the former Chief Justice of Ghana. Madam Sufaya Akufo also is on a journey. And the journey she's on are two destinations. One is to please her NPP that appointed her and made her a Chief Justice. And two, to try and discredit the same Council of State she is a member of, indirectly trying to embarrass the government. This old lady is on a journey to blow herself up. I respect her a lot. The capacity and position our feeling. Every time you are interested to hear what she has to say. Because at a point, this woman was in charge of all the laws about Ekuru. She was the headquarters of law. She led the judiciary. She was seen as somebody who would take her time, reason, go through the basic thinking process before she makes a submission or speaks. But interestingly enough, Madam Sufaya Akufo, she has decided to go on a trip. She believes that trip, the fallout she had with the MPP, it is going to incite or it is going to bring back that sympathy the NPP they have for her. And I say that fallout she had with the MPP, time and DDEP issued by now or Kasatia on one in Kofono, she now feels say she needs to be accepted again because party nigu and she wants to be on their good side. The second part of her journey is to discredit the Council of State position now or Timuno. She wants to discredit the Council of State, which indirectly she wants to use that to discredit the presidency. And I see that as a very sad situation. Because Madam Sufaya Akufo is a very intelligent woman. The only thing about this woman or Madam Akufo is that the sense of entitlement, she feels this sense of entitlement. Our idea be say she is intelligent than anybody in Ghana. She's full of herself, with all due respect. She believes say asamoba na okebia obia submission bi obekebia no sa nipa no ejimi. She is the only intelligent person. Even when she's part of a decision making, what she tries to do is say she sometimes steps away from the group she's part of and make it look like say every single person in the group she's part of is stupid. She's the only wise one. And that is my biggest problem with Madam Sufaya Akufo. Madam Sufaya Akufo has served in a very good capacity as the former Chief Justice. And I don't expect Madam Sufaya Akufo to be speaking only on emotions or speaking based on what we call her feelings about something. I expect to say, from what she has been through, her experience as a former Chief Justice, she wouldn't speak based on emotions, but she will speak on facts. She will speak to debunk facts. She will speak to make her case using the facts to prove to Yenny Ghana for say she is not just an ordinary state
Please subscribe, comment, and share for more content. She is a state woman with enormous intelligence, experience when it comes to addressing fundamental laws. And I say the Constitution and how we are supposed to approach its discussion. But it is looking like, say, Madam Sufaya Akufo has thrown away all the experience, all the knowledge she picked as a former Chief Justice. She has dumped that somewhere, and she's going on this very slippery route. It is all about how she feels, her feelings, how she knows somebody, but she has forgotten to analyze the issues based on facts. Since Madam Sufaya Akufo started speaking on Torkono's dismissal and sack from the judiciary, she has not stated any facts. Emma Nasam looking unique and different from the ordinary Ghanaian on the streets. Sometimes when she speaks and you listen, you ask yourself, say, does she even have any law background? Has she learned the law? Does she understand that before you speak against the Constitution, before you disagree with the laws or due process, you need to have a counterfactual argument to prove, say, your case you are making, that is the reason why you do not agree to a specific decision that has been taken. And recently, since Madam Torkono was sacked, I have seen that this woman has dropped from where she used to be, how we used to see her, the respect people like us used to give her, because at a point, she sat on TV and told some people that they have pin brain. But some of her utterances, her submissions on the sack of Torkono, it is looking more like she is basically putting herself in the pin brain family. With all due respect, I respect this woman a lot. Now, these are some of the things she said about the Madam Torkono issue, sacking her as the Chief Justice and also as a judge in Ghana. These are some of her statements. Or say, they or the allegations contained in petition lack the gravity that will lead to a grave outcome, such as the removal of the head of an institution of justice. Now, if you say the allegations contained in the petition, now, Madam Torkono was given every room to defend herself. In fact, the president, when he received the petition, he actually gave Madam Torkono 10 days, even though now Madam Torkono asked for just 7 days. Madam Torkono was given the room to look at the petition, the allegations in the petition. And you as a judge, when people enter your courtroom, there is a reason why you give them the room to go for a lawyer, to express themselves, defend themselves with the facts, to prove their innocence. The process gave Torkono all the room to prove her innocence. That is why Torkono went for a lawyer. In fact, she went for 2 MPP lawyers. That is why the president gave Torkono enough time to study the allegations in the petition. So you cannot just say that the petition, what are the allegations that were contained in the petition, they lack gravity. On what basis are you able to prove that they lack gravity? Were you, or do you have any counter facts to prove that the allegations that were contained in the petition lacked gravity? It is upon Torkono and her lawyers to prove to the committee that the allegations lacked it, unless you have other ideas. Unless you don't want to respect due process, unless you are being mischievous as a former Chief Justice who understands how the law works and how people are given the room to defend themselves. And when I heard her speak like this, I felt so bad. I felt like the woman that I respect is forcing herself to be part of the pin brain people that she has been referring to. Because if I make such statement, I have to make it. You can sit anywhere else and say, this guy, he does not have the know-how. He does not have the expertise. He does not have any knowledge about law. He has not been a lawyer before. He's not a judge. He has never sat in any high-profile case. So we can give it to him. But you, when you make such vague a statement without proving that the allegations in the petition, the gravity lacked what you say, it lacked that gravity, it means you are speaking out of emotions. You are making a moral argument. You are not making a factual argument. And moral argument can be made by anyone. But factual argument, it's always made by people who are intelligent enough to separate Gary from rice. So, but you as a person, I respect you, especially with the baggage you carry as an ex-Chief Justice and a legal professional, somebody who knows the law. Now, Osaka Sembi, Momianko tie in Sembia or Kafa a yet Torkono asem no ho. We are not sure why this woman is forcing herself to be grouped or to be added to the pin brain people she has been referring to.
I'm very sad about it. It has really saddened me. And maybe in a way, I feel very distressed by it. Yes.
Mm. In terms of the conclusion that was reached, where the matter has journeyed from, Is the sadness as a result of the conclusion, or you have questions about the procedure that took place before that?
The sadness is about the whole process. My sadness is because as far as I'm concerned, it was a very unnecessary. We have been taken through a very unnecessary situation, and which, as far as I'm concerned, and that is my honest and candid view, this has so weakened the institution of the judiciary. It's not so much the individual who occupies their position. It is the institution. That is what I'm concerned about.
I mean, what informs the conclusion that it's an unnecessary process? I mean, we have heard even government spokesperson make the point that a petition was sent, a committee in line with the constitution was set up, they've looked into the matter and they've come to a conclusion. Which aspect of it, what specifically makes that necessary?
I think that, you see, there has always been something wrong with Article 146, and particularly with the procedure that it sets out, and especially as it regards the position of the Chief Justice. In the Ajaychum case, I took the opportunity to reflect on that weakness that I noticed, and are these and these are not so, to me, they lack the gravity. They lack the gravity that would lead to a grave outcome, such as the removal of the head of an institution of justice. I've deliberately phrased myself that way. It trivializes the position, and I wonder what this is going to lead to further on along the line, because every judge is fair game and every Chief Justice is also fair game.
I mean, is that to suggest that you suspect there could be a ripple effect in that?
Oh, definitely.
Any matter,
it's not suspect. I foresee, not tomorrow, maybe not next year, maybe not in 5 years' time, but along the line, yes, unless those provisions are dealt with effectively in a revised constitution.
Maybe a more direct question. I have seen the letter that was written by the Secretary to the President to the former Chief Justice.
And that's the other thing. A warrant, a person holding a presidential warrant, that's what the position is. You become Chief Justice because you have received a presidential warrant. You can receive all kinds of letters that you are hereby appointed, but if you don't have that warrant, does that make you Chief Justice? Yeah, okay. So if you're removing the person from the position, is it a subordinate who signs the letter? Is that the way it's supposed to be done? That's just by the way, food for thought.
Yeah, but I've seen a warrant as well signed by His Excellency the President.
So why are they showing us that one? I've been receiving all kinds of messages, and every one of them is only bringing out that letter. And in any case, is it polite? Is it proper that it should be a subordinate who writes a letter of removal to a Chief Justice? Really?
So, it's more of a moral argument than a factual one, not based on any fact. In some Kenya, I'll say, oh, Yabusana say, do you have a problem with the procedure? Meaning the due process. She didn't really want to answer. Also, the whole thing has been an unnecessary situation. Later, also, the provisions, no, she has some problem with it. But as a former Chief Justice, she could not state one thing that she has a problem with. She vaguely threw it out there. Because you, as Madam Sophia Ekufo, I cannot just come and say, I have a question with you being appointed by Akufo-Addo as the Chief Justice. I need to prove beyond that for people to understand that I'm making a valid argument. It could be that I don't like you because of your name. It could be that because you have Ekufo in your name, it's making me think that you are a relative to Akufo-Addo. But I cannot just come and say, Madam Sophia, I don't know why they made you the Chief Justice. I need to prove. So if you, as a former Chief Justice, you have an issue with even the procedure or the due process that was put together for Torkono to go through, you should have at least stated one infraction, something that is against that process that you are calling unnecessary situation, for people like us to understand where you are coming from. Because now you are speaking like anybody on the streets. In fact, if somebody comes and hears you speak on TV and does not know who you are or is not a Ghanaian, they will not even have an idea that you have any legal background. They will think that somebody just went to bring their mother to come and sit on TV to speak. Because you are not making any argument from the statement you are making to prove that you have, with all due respect, the experience and with all due respect, the intelligence to make a case than the ordinary person walking on the street. Because just saying that the whole procedure or process was an unnecessary situation does not justify that the process was supposed to be done. If you want to prove to us that you are better, you have the experience, and that what you are making, the statements you are making, are not basically based on moral and basically based on speculation, you are supposed to go further than what than the argument Chairman Wontumi will make. Because the argument you are making is like Chairman Wontumi sitting on any radio stations to speak on the Torkono matter. With all due respect to you, madam. With all due respect. Or see, there's always been a problem with Article 146. Or see, that article now, John Mahama, any president to be able to say Akufo-Addo ejina so and making sure the due process has been dealt has happened, Or see, she has always had a problem with the Article 146. We never knew she had a problem. She was Chief Justice for over 8 years or 8 years. She was just Chief Justice, I don't know the number of years, but it wasn't 8 years. She never spoke on Article 146, even when she was Chief Justice. When she was Chief Justice, she also received the same petition, but she never had an issue with Article 146 until today. Her party, her brother Akufo-Addo, and her friend Torkono also had to go through the same process. So suddenly, she has always had a problem with the same Article 146 that she applied when she was Chief Justice. Into one baby Ofriba, she is picking and choosing. This is a woman I respect a lot. Dear, why you were caught in Minyebi? But at least she needs to prove beyond the say, you are a former Chief Justice, you are a luminary, you are an intelligent person when it comes to the law. You cannot speak vaguely, because people like us are waiting for people like you with experience in the law to make a point that we can say, yes, she based her argument on this fact. But you are basically speaking like a normal housewife who is relaxed at home and just telling us about what happened in the market. You are not basically distinguishing yourself from normal people on the street and a former Chief Justice and a judge of the Supreme Court. Now, you being a Chief Justice for 3 years, we handing over the judiciary to you for 3 years, it wasn't an easy thing. Now, how can you just sit on TV and make due process, constitution, yejina so take a decision, how can you just sit on TV to make it look like, say, the illegal? Now, she went on to say this. she is saying, we should revise the constitution. The constitution reform team or revised committee, it is there. You have all the right to go to that committee and present, because you, being a former chief justice, I think they will listen to you than me. So if you have a problem with 146, if you have a problem with some things in the constitution, you cannot sit at home and put on makeup and make it look like it's not something that concerns you. You have every right to put those concerns together to give to the Constitutional Review Committee for them to look at it, because you are a former chief justice. You don't put on scarf, shine your face, wear glasses, and polish your grammar like we can't speak English. You can equally write your own piece and take it to where? Take it to the Constitutional Review Committee. You cannot just sit there and speak like a laywoman, with all due respect to you. You cannot bring down the level you have been so low that when you speak, we don't see any signs of somebody who has legal intelligence, with all due respect to you, madam. So sometimes when we listen to you, after listening to you today, I was shocked, because your argument was all pushing you into the bracket of the pin brain people. Because the pin brain people, when they make arguments, they don't have any facts to base their arguments on. And that is what you have done today. You are forcing yourself to fall into the bracket of the pin brain people. You have always been telling us that they are not smart enough to make a case, to be coherent, and to make intelligent submissions on national issues. You see, so a judge just sent me this. Former Chief Justice Sophia Ekufu's comment on the removal of former CJ Torkono is highly casuistic. The judges even have a problem with your submission on this matter, especially when you are a member of the Council of State that basically also received the petition and gave it a green light. So you are becoming a sycophant, with all due respect, madam. Now, let us know who Sophia Ekufu is. Is she a sycophant? Is she somebody we can basically sit back and say, you are a hypocrite. You are not being realistic and honest with Ghanaians. You are playing with the emotional part of the issue instead of you being factual and basing your arguments on evidence and facts. What she is trying to do, and what we saw, is that she's not being factual. She's being emotional. She's trying to make a moral argument instead of a factual argument. And anybody on the streets of Ghana, including Chema Wuntumi and Abronye, can make moral argument, emotional argument, and not anybody can make factual arguments. And you, as a former Chief Justice, when you get the opportunity to speak, you need to force us to understand that you are smarter than Chema Wuntumi. You are smarter than Abronye. You have been in that position before. You know the law. You are above majority of us. But when you make these baseless, fake, these weak arguments, it makes it difficult for us to see you the way we see you now. That's why I'm saying that I don't want to group you in that bracket of pin brain old women, because pin brain people are not able to base their arguments on facts. Now, let's go into calculation a little bit. When we go back into history, this woman called Madam Sophia Ekufu, she was the Chief Justice for 3 years. Now, this is something that we need to go back and analyze. When Charlotte Osei, people petitioned the president to say, Yenyi Charlotte Osei, Madam Sophia Ekufu had been appointed about 6 months. And when Madam Sophia Ekufu was appointed as the Chief Justice, within that 6 months, Grandpa Anson Obedi Bear 6 months, 8 months, she initiated the sacking of Charlotte Osei, and she initiated it and based everything on Article 146 that she is trying to tell us she has always had a problem with. The same Article 1469 that she's always had a problem with. It has been the same Article 419, or it was the same Article 419, or it is the same Article 419 she based on to make sure Charlotte Osei and her 2 deputies were sacked from the Electoral Commission. We are trying to let people understand, say, you're disrespecting penny for. But you're penny for we need to correct them before they die. Because on say, maybe I do point to be now when you now refuse now say correct what they say atrono and sa nyoma to be ko womb, and that is what we are trying to prevent. Now, avoid contempt against committee probing EC officials. CJ warns, when Charlotte say asem de buy no, Madam Sophia Ekufu extra letter the chere Ghana for say, mema obi anka asem no ho asem kura o media so. Say unim na kwatena TV so, na we discuss it. Eya petition na ye de abre no, ye de abre president ye de abre no na, you are what court mraso, contempt of court at you. She basically wrote a statement and put it out. That is autocracy. Oka obia kasabua sheni yem. This is Sophia Ekufu. Dear me born the video channel. She was the Chief Justice then. Time a petition by no. Nana Dankwa Ekufuado gave the petition to her. Nana Dankwa Ekufuado didn't give the petition to Charlotte Osei to study and her deputies. Like the way John Mahama gave the petition to Torkono to study for 10 days, you know. Nana Dankwa Ekufuado or receiving a petition against Charlotte Osei and her deputies, you know. She did not give Charlotte Osei the room to even look at what is in the petition. No. He quickly gave the petition to Sophia Ekufu as the Chief Justice for the process to start working. In the time Ekodini Hono and a release statement, I'm talking about Sophia Ekufu, yeah. Avoid contempt against committee probing EC officials. Time petition kodu committee enim na omu probi petition no and at CJ Emma Ghana for nyina warning. Wa we ye bema ana oba a obebusa question, obe raise issue, obe question system no. You what contempt at show. You bet you what. This is the same woman who today is telling us say ya boni emono enche obe wunti yentie ono ne nyansa. With all due respect, now when you read the story, this is what it says. Let me enlarge it. The facts are there. This is City. Date Sheso December 19, 2017. Reading time 4 minutes. Read. What the 4 minutes is a story in a way. Inti facts in the You read the story no. The Chief Justice Sophia Ekufu has formally constituted a committee to investigate the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, and her 2 deputies over corruption allegations leveled against them, with a caution to the general public to desist from making demeaning comments about their work. Miami way at a committee. Ekufuado in second petition no, and the man as a Chief Justice then, and on the Coma committee, a T committee, and on Satchel letter Ghana for so Bianca Nuntum. Nobody in Ghana. This was the warning from Madam Sophia Ekufu now to work as ano. With all due respect to her. Me person who the kind of people, the pin-brain people, no, and I make sure no. These are people we have to be careful about. Today, she's part of the Council of State. Now, I'll call the second paragraph. This is what it says. Already, some members of the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, have started criticizing the process, accusing the government of seeking to hound the EC boss, Charlotte Osei. Into that time, now, started start you know, and the NDC for started say, Omokasa say no. CBA process ne kone de. I say, abane faso ekwanbiso apam Charlotte because NDC forecast say, adenti Ekufuado nsaka petition no, one farmer Charlotte enredi or the comma Chief Justice. So the NDC were making an argument to say, if the president even wants to, based on Article 1469, to make sure the due process is followed, why is he not giving Charlotte Osei the room to even look at the allegations before moving the petition to the Chief Justice? So the NDC started questioning. When a Chief Justice Ethics Committee or started warning the bread Ghana for say nobody should speak. In fact, let me read the rest of the story. When you read the rest of the story, this is what it says. Let me enlarge it. There are some people we are not supposed to take serious again in Ghana. This is the story. This is what it says. The Chief Justice, Sophia Ekufu, has formally constituted a committee to investigate the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, and her 2 deputies over corruption allegations leveled against them, with a caution to the general public to desist from making demeaning comments about their work. Already, some members of the opposition National Democratic Congress have started criticizing the process, accusing the government of seeking to hound the EC boss, Charlotte Osei, The three officials met, listen, the three officials met the Chief Justice a week ago where they were notified. This is city reporting. Charlotte Sophia Kufu, how dangerous she is as a former Chief Justice. Story say the three officials, meaning Charlotte Osei and the two deputies, the three officials met the Chief Justice a week ago where they were notified that a prima facie case have been established against them. It's when Akufo-Addo received the petition. That petition Akufo-Addo received, he never said anything to Charlotte Osei and her two deputies. All that Akufo-Addo did was that he moved the petition and gave to Sophia, who is the Chief Justice. And what Sophia did was that Sophia just called them and told them, say, I have received a petition from the president and that a prima facie case has been leveled against you. Without Charlotte Osei knowing what is in the petition. That is what Sophia Kufu did. Sophia Kufu, of Fred Charlotte, and the two deputies no more ban ho. One for petition and chiromo. One chiromo anything in the petition. Charlotte and her two deputies did not even have a clue of why they were called to the Chief Justice office. They were called as electoral commission chairperson and her deputies. The Chief Justice called them to come to her office. And when Charlotte Mudru Hono, Sophia Kufu Kachiromo said, Mensa aka petition from the president and petition in Muno, a primary facie case has been leveled against you. Intimate committee. Charlotte Osemuka said, we want to see the allegations in the petition. I said, no. I know these people, sometimes they chew their fingers, they chew their asses, and they'll come and ask us who ate their ass. This is what Akufo-Addo and this woman did. Today, this woman is telling us that we have murdered sleep. She murdered sleep in 2017. That is why she's sleeping no more. Sophia Kufu already murdered sleep. She murdered sleep when she was the Chief Justice. She murdered sleep. That is why she's not able to sleep no more, because she knew what was supposed to be done. She didn't do it. Now, who read this story? That's what it says. Now, I quote, the general public is hereby informed that Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, and I'm talking about the statement she put out. And I quote, the general public is hereby informed. These are the strict statement Sophia Kufu as the Chief Justice then put out to the public. After receiving one fan Charlotte Mo. Remember, John Mahama received a petition or the Torkono for 10 days. Torkono asked for 7 days. John Mahama said take 10 days. Akufo-Addo received Charlotte Osei petition. He gave it to Sophia. Sophia did not show it to Charlotte Osei. Sophia went ahead to put together a committee. Sophia sat in her office and established a prima facie case against Charlotte Osei and her two deputies. John Mahama did not sit in his office to establish that. John Mahama called the Chief Justice and said, a petition has been leveled, a petition has been brought, and it's against you. Take the petition and read and see what is in there. But Sophia and Akufo-Addo came together and decided to establish a prima facie case against Charlotte. This woman is today sitting there pretending say she never murdered sleep. Now, this is the statement she put out those times. These are disingenuous people. Let's not look at them in their slow language and low tone and think that they are some extraordinary people with some good record. Thank you very much, team. Thank you for bringing this in. Now, so after a fresh Charlotte Osei ban office, President today, petition be abreme ya level some prima facie case against you people, so me ba beti committee monko e no pamo mo na owie no e no sa kiro letter to mfrem be se ma obi anka committee na watere ho asem. The general public is hereby informed that Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, Justice Sophia A.B. Ekufo, in accordance with Article 146 Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution, has set up a 5-member committee to investigate allegations brought against the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her two deputies, Mr. Amadou Sile and Mrs. Georgina Apapon Amankwa. End of quote. Orieno releases statement to say, Ojina 1992 constitution so article 146 now or say she has a problem with. When Charlotte Osei's case came, she used the same article and put together a committee, a 5-member committee. It was based on the article no to committee, you know. Today, this woman is telling you, say, she has a problem with the same article now. And Yajina so Ediama Torkono Ako through the process. Now, Unim say, time of fresh Charlotte Osemo, Eban office. Okacha Charlotte Osemo say, and for the petition be abreme. Now, me na Chief Justice, me study petition. We have established that you people, you have committed some crime. Now, Mameka be bincho. Charlotte say, at the end of the day, on it, the deputies, you know, they actually asked the Chief Justice. That's our two story, so this is what Charlotte say asked. Give me a copy of my removal petition. Charlotte said to Chief Justice, Madam Sophia Ekufu. Charlotte say can say, I want to see a copy of the allegation. Petition Ekuta wo Sophia no. Give me a copy. Let me read and see what is in the petition. Sophia Ekufu said, no, fuck off. And wabodu kwa bejina TV so. We are using technology to expose these people because they have no credibility and they are the people who have destroyed this democracy. They hide behind intellectuality. They hide behind statesmanship. They hide behind age. And they lie and destroy the core principles of our democracy. Charlotte Osei pleaded with this woman, give me the petition, please. I want to see it. My deputies want to see it. The woman said no. The embattled chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, has called on the Chief Justice Committee probing her and her 2 deputies to furnish her with a copy of the petition seeking her removal. Okache say, madam, wo any committee no, mon for petition in mame. Na me read the womb. So for Ekufu kaje so fa ne kwase anko. Today, so for Ekufu jina o ka kire say, onim nyansa che Ghana ni bia. We should all go fuck ourselves. Oni ne nim nyansa okasa obi ankoda. Na oni bibi. Charlotte say wie no. Ana Charlotte say decide say obekọ Ekufu ado akobu Ekufu ado say, wo na won saka petition first. And I want to forward the come Chief Justice no. Into Chief Justice in Femia, please can you also give me the petition? As some way the Kufu the catcher no. Now the Danko Kufu the catcher Charlotte say, no petition is here. Go and search for it. A Kufu the catcher Charlotte say, only petition bia. Charlotte say call presidency. I catch Mr. President. When I receive a petition now with the Chief Justice. Mebusa Chief Justice for the petition. She is not minding me. I also want you to give me the petition. Send a beya mehu allegations. No, Ekufuade say I don't have any petition at the presidency. Sanko for way na and Omokachi say they are morally, they are intelligent, morally, they have the right to speak on Ghana's issues. Sophia Ekufu. Yepe Chief Justice Omumra. Omunya to me, omdidin sem hunu Ghana. You cannot pick Sophia Ekufu out. A governor catcher Charlotte say, "Ono ni petition be our free onko." So in reality, no, Charlotte said did not see the petition. Into all committee no, not onim question po ayeko busano. And remember, the committee was put together by Sophia Ekufu. She actually put the
Please subscribe to Azinga TV.
When you read the story, this is what the story says. Let's go to the second paragraph of the story. I mean, show petition no nipa okeka omubomu. She was even part of the committee. In a statement signed by the Judicial Secretary, Justice Alex B. Poku Echampong, the Chief Justice said anyone who makes comment that undermine the work of the committee will be cited for contempt. Now, who can story nuko enima or say the release, which failed to indicate the names of the committee members, as well as the release. Now, Mama starting for in a release copied to cityfmonline.com, the Judicial Secretary said the sitting of the committee will be closed to the public. Inti omudi letter by no, omukacha Ghana for you say Sophia Ekufu, wate committee, and so committee no, enya de obi abehu committee no. adwuma mbedi nyina no it will be behind closed doors. Enya ade a obi abenya committee ni krampo nipa a omote committee ni so no Sofa Akufo did not tell Ghanaians. John Dramani Mahama, he allowed due process. We got to know who the people who were going to sit on the committee. We all know their profiles. And so Sofa Akufo ni Akufo-Addo. Sofa Akufo put together a 5-member committee. She didn't tell us their names. She didn't show Charlotte Osei and her 2 deputies the petition, the allegations in it. This woman, after that, sent a statement out to warn everybody to shut up. This is an autocrat. She's a dictator. And she wants to sound like she's the most intelligent person in Ghana. Now, who read this story now? Let me show you this. The release, which failed to indicate the names of the committee members, as well as state exactly when the committee will start its work, said it will be chaired by a justice of the Supreme Court. Or really this statement to say, what a 5-member committee and omono moba betina eye Charlotte Osei case this no wam chere obia obetina so wam bodin wan chere location but the kind say committee no nipa obe chair sa committee na ombeto to Charlotte Osei mo ano no nipa owo Supreme Court Sofa Akufo. This woman is bad news. I'm not in the position to insult her when you tell me, but I'm exposing her. I'm making you know she is not somebody to be trusted. If she has a problem with the Council of State, she should resign tomorrow and stop the nonsense grammar that she's hiding behind. She belongs to the pin brain group that lies to protect criminals. Yeah. Now, Uko Enima, and I quote, the committee, this is the letter from Chief Justice Sophia, those times, and the quote, the committee, which will sit in camera, in line with normal practice, consists of 3 justices of the Superior Court appointed by the Judicial Council and 2 other persons appointed by the Chief Justice. On the advice of the Council of State, the committee is chaired by a justice of the Supreme Court. Or say committee na oti judge for me and some Supreme Court betra so. And a nupa mienu bi otade be kan no ono so fire na be choose sa nipa mienu no. Because at the end of the day no sa nipa obe chair eye committee no a Council of State for or say and 2 other persons appointed by Chief Justice on the advice of the Council of State. Into say nipa 5 na omode omoko no 3 no ebe judges almost Supreme Court 2 na almost abe kan no a Council of State na man petitions permission say ono Chief Justice no only ni nipa mienu ope and ono personally okoyi ni nanfofo mienu beka 3 judges are yes say omo ankasa the Judicial Council na yi omo and ode omo te committee no say omo try Charlotte Osei and then the 2 deputies. These are people who cooked their own coup and execute the coup. This is what we call the Machiavellian tactics. They go out there, they create a petition, they bring the petition to themselves, they create a committee, and they cut you off. Machiavellian, no. When they had the dangerous part of our democracy, we leave too much loopholes for people like these. They destroy the principles of the democracy. They turn around to come and tell us we are stupid because they have had a problem with the constitution all along. They never had a problem with it until one of them is caught by the law. Charlotte Osei wasn't human, right? Her 2 deputies were not humans, right? Madam Torkono was given a VIP treatment by the Constitution and the President of the Republic. When you compare what Sophia did to Charlotte Osei and her 2 deputies, and you look at the due process that Torkono went through, Torkono was given a presidential treatment. Torkono was given a presidential treatment. So calculate in some huna was Sophia. When Akufo-Addo di Ghana ha as the Chief Justice. That means John Mahama is Jesus Christ. Torkono all the room to basically defend herself and even know what is in the petition before meeting the committee. By you, Sophia, you put together your own judges. You select your own friends. You don't even tell us when the committee is meeting, location. You don't even tell us the rules and regulations governing their job. You attempt to tell us you have a problem today. You this woman, pa, ya so woman I would with the sense of entitlement, no. And then I sometimes I would trim you with the Ghana ha. Bibia besu trima na okeka. The last part of the story, and I quote. It is the expectation of the Chief Justice and the Judicial Council that the public will treat the committee with the respect and dignity it deserves, as it carries out its constitutional duty and refrain from making comments that will undermine the work of the committee, since infractions may amount to contempt. End of quote. We are not catching Ghana for say, wow, be no bo MDC for no, mo biankasa, wow, be kasa metro. This autocratic, self-centered, yet self-bragging, pin-brain, entitled human being way, and now it's not TV so catch say, we are stupid, you are smart, you have a problem with the due process. You abuse the due process, you abuse the constitution, Sophia. Sophia Kufu, you deliberately abused it. Ekrobianka goes to jail. Yeah. If we decide to go back and follow due process, you should be rotting in jail. You, because you breached the constitution. You abused the constitution technically. And as we sit here, Charlotte say in any country can come back and protest that why didn't you people show her the petition, the allegations in the petition? You people have committed so much crime in Ghana. And you sit there, you want us to worship your weak asses. All because in the name of respect, you people don't respect the intelligence of the people. Into your mama's small opportunity, then you abuse the opportunity because you're Jimmy. These are the things you did. Or terminal reports na me really channel. This is what makes you a very dangerous human being. Because you see, we gave you too much power and you abused that power. We gave you too much power. So today, that's entitlement thing now a woman sono because if we kufu because Ojin said you can come and discredit the presidency and discredit the same Council of State that was part of this process. You technically were a sycophant that is not supposed to be part of the Council of State. Because the decision the Council of State took, you were part of that decision. So how do you turn around to come tell us and say the issue, what you see is unnecessary situation and that you have a problem with Article 146. The same Article 146 you and your Ekufuado manipulated to make sure the people you don't like in office, you took them out. Did you give Charlotte the room to look at the allegations? You have no right. Absolutely no moral right to even sit and grant an interview about Torkono's ejection. You have no right. You are supposed to be in jail for abusing the constitution. You people have no respect for the Ghanaian. Every single day, you always want to feel, say, when you touch on the emotional part of issues, it makes it right. No, you having a personal relationship with Torkono, you having a feeling or some feelings for Torkono, you treating Torkono as a woman, it's got nothing to do with the facts. Torkono, from day one when this process started, has she been able to point out one infractions in the constitution that wasn't applied well? By you deliberately denied people allegations, a petition. You set up a whole committee yourself. You put your friends on the committee. You select judges you like on the Supreme Court bench and you sit on it to destroy somebody's career. Today you open say to and your frau because what better TV so can kwasi abrofubi. The entitlement. Mojin sa muni munyansa chen obi a. School papa ben na makwa and the Ghana yako internet so ayehu. A dear case law, Papa Bear Pana, you want everybody to look like we are foolish. There's nothing extraordinary about you people. You get the opportunity. The opportunities you people got was because majority of us were daft. We could not check you people. We could not fact check you people. You people put some fear in us. You use that intellectual approach, which was full of fear, to suppress the people from knowing the truth. You have committed a lot of crimes by making sure, denying people. We have elected into offices to work for us. You, Sophia. So today, we should stop everything. You are an embarrassment to Ghana. If you have a problem with Article 146, go and meet the Constitution Review Committee. Tell them what problem you have with them, with that part of the Constitution. If you have a problem, If you think you cannot work with the Council of State, get the fuck out of there and let somebody who is willing and ready to work there to be part of them. We cannot have sycophants, double-faced Jack Chance to be walking around and destroying our way to better democracy. We are not going to create any special protection for anybody in any government office. You know the rules and regulations that governs every institution that you are head of. You need to stay within the Constitution, stay within your rules, and that you'll be fine. If you go above, you go beyond, if you try to abuse that office, you have to be dealt with. That is how it works everywhere in the world. Because
please subscribe, comment, and share for more content.
Torkono flouting the law and the law dealing with her, it is the end of Ghana because you people are so entitled. You are part of the pin brain people. You are a sycophant who is in sheep clothing inside the Council of State because you cannot step out of the Council of State as a team and come tell us that you disassociate yourself and this thing and this, that. So we should all stop and go pick our history books and write and take pictures of you. No. I've read your terminal report to you. You are one of the worst chief justices we have had. You are an autocrat. You are the same like a Kufuado. You are a dictator. The power you got for 3 years, you abused it. Tell us you didn't. You are a mole. Every day somebody is pin brain. Every day somebody is pin brain. Make your argument based on facts and stop adding emotional stuff to your argument. You are a former chief justice. You are a judge, a former judge. Speak like a former judge. Use the facts and evidence to make a statement and stop this wayside, selfish, emotional, moral argument you are making. We all have ideas to make emotional arguments. Ade, yenim se Torkono or your bar. Yenim se our family. Yenim se no a lawyer. We know that, but she has committed a crime and the law has to deal with her. The nonsense must stop. We are tired of this sycophancy and fake entitlement attitude you people are putting up in Ghana. If you have a problem with the 146 in the Constitution, go to the Constitution Review Committee and tell them your problem. You should be the last person to be granting interviews in Ghana. You have committed a crime, you abused your office. Any court you go, I will face you because you abused that office you are in. The office that you occupied, you abused it 1,000 times. Ghana Nyankano Krintra. When you speak, it chucks people like us. When we give the opportunity to speak, it chucks people like me. The arrogance in your language, the entitlement syndrome, that thing where you think that everybody is a fool, you are the most intelligent person. Intelligent, smart, lawyer. Later you got to know this guy is a drug addict. And you people have gone through the mill with this kind of entitlement to this point. You still don't want to shut up and quell your ass and sit down. You still want to derail this country. If you have a problem with this process, go to the review committee and tell them that they should review it. If you make sense there with facts, they will review it. The nonsense must stop. Today, I can tell you on authority, you are part of the pin brain old people in Ghana. You speak out of emotions. You don't speak out of facts. There's nothing that shows that you were a former legal brain. Stop this, your comedy. We are tired of you.